Hey, welcome everybody. It's Rob again, and it's time for another 5-minute member talk. Today we're with a special guest, Katey Houston from the Weeks family of funeral homes. Hi, Katey. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
Katey, tell me about yourself. You're a licensed funeral director? Is that right?
Licensed funeral director and embalmer.
And embalmer.
I work at the original Weeks Funeral Home location up here in Enumclaw. And yeah, been here 6 years. Loving it.
Wow, that's great. Now, tell us a little bit of background because I read your bio here recently on the website and it says you are from England. Is that right?
That is correct. I originally went to mortuary school in England. I moved here after working about 2 years at a funeral home in England, and then moved here, went to mortuary school again, and now I'm here.
Well, there's so much I want to ask you about that. I know we've got some other things we're going to come up with, but first, how did you, what brought you here, number one? And then number two, what are the major differences between funeral service in England versus funeral service in not only the United States, but in your neck of the woods of Enumclaw?
So ex-husband brought me here. Um, and the biggest difference I've noticed, so we have coffins in England, we have caskets here, we still have the toe pincher style. Um, your pallbearers are hired from the funeral home, so they're not family generally, they're professional pallbearers, and we carry on the shoulder. And we were at about 98% cremation um, where I was at in England. And crematories are owned by like the council, the city. Um, so you'd have a chapel at the crematory that you would go to have your service, and you get 30 minutes, kind of like at the National Cemetery, and they will kick you out after 30 minutes. So that's the biggest difference there. That did transfer here for me in that we have such a lot of cremation here. Even up in little old Enumclaw, our cremation rate is pretty high, and I love that personally. But yeah, so those are the differences.
Yeah, you told me in your email back and forth recently that, well, I'm just going to read it because it kind of made me laugh. You're a cremation nerd and you love all things cremation.
I do. I feel like cremation gives us the opportunity to prove ourselves as a funeral home. I feel like every funeral director can do a full traditional Catholic service, but can you prove yourself and your value and worth on a direct cremation? Because you should be able to, otherwise you shouldn't be charging what you're charging.
Sure. Well, it makes
I
sense.
think, yeah, if we have a direct cremation, I need to find a way to talk to that family about putting some kind of ceremony or some kind of closure situation into that direct cremation with them. I think we don't put enough value on giving the urn back to the family, how much of a momentous occasion that is. So I always try and make something big out of how I give the urn back to a family.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, it's definitely something that we need to really study and learn. I've seen and been I guess you could say participated in, just returning an urn, just kind of handing the urn across the counter and say, here you go. But really,
Right.
there's a lot more that should be involved with that. It's an urn, but it's somebody's loved one, and we should really participate in learning how to do that better. So
Yep.
maybe we can have you teach us a little bit.
Buy an urn arc and does all the work for you.
Perfect. Yes. So I had the privilege of, I don't want to say going with you, but meeting you, that is, back in Chicago
Hmm.
um, at the national convention. And I understood, if I heard that correctly, I understood that did you receive a scholarship or something like that from, was it National Funeral Directors? Was that
I
who it was?
received a scholarship from the Funeral Service Foundation. So I had to write my own obituary and answer a couple of questions on where I thought funeral service would be in 10 years from now. And yeah, I was one of the winners.
Wow. So that's actually really cool. You actually won a trip to the national convention. Uh, Tell me about writing your own obituary. What was that like for you?
It was really fun. It was super fun. And I'm going to keep it like stored away so that it can be used when it's my time, because I don't want just a born died, this is what she likes situation. I want the kind of obituary I try to give my families, which is more a story and a real like nitty gritty. This is about me. This is what I was about type situation. Although at the end of my obituary, it did say that I was going to be mummified and wrapped in a shroud with Dolly Parton lyrics all over it, and then displayed at the Enumclaw Funeral Home, which probably won't happen, but you never know.
That'd be great. I tell you what,
Yeah,
if that happens, I'll come. I want to see that.
there'll be an admission price, I'm sure.
So, you wrote your own obituary, but
Mm-hmm.
what I'm curious to know is what are your thoughts on you had to write about it, you had to write an essay. Where do you see funeral service in 10 years? So that's a great question. Where do you see funeral service in the next 10 years?
Unfortunately, my answer was I don't know. I see that funeral directors will still be a huge part of what is happening, but I think there will definitely be a change in how much the family is involved, which I also love. Um, I think traditional service probably won't be around. It'll be more, we need to think um, that backyard barbecue you want to do for dad for his memorial service, we can put that on for you. We have the contacts, like we can do it all, so you don't have to. Um, so yeah, I don't really know where it is, but I'm trying to. My motto for life is always be the wave, don't ride it. So I wanna be the wave. I actually got sent a T-shirt the other day from a company that said "Death Care Influencer" on it. And I decided I'm not a death care influencer. I want to be a challenger. I want to challenge the wise.
There you go. Well, that's a great way to look
Yeah.
at it. Great
Yeah.
outlook on it. Well, I would really love to sit and talk more with you. I'm curious. I love the stories about the differences between on the other side of the pond and things here. I'd love to sit and talk with you more, and I know that we're going to get that opportunity in the future. But unfortunately, we are getting close on time. So tell us how we can get in touch with you. What is a good email address for you?
A good email address for me is Katey, spelled Katey, at weeksfuneralhomes.com. Or just hit me up here at the funeral home on Facebook.
Perfect. Well, Katey, it's been a real pleasure to talk with you again. I know I'm going to see you here pretty soon at our district meeting, so I'm excited for that. For those of you that want to participate in another 5-minute member talk, I'd love to have you on here. Get in touch with us, call us, email us, but definitely subscribe, follow, all those other things that you have to do with social media. Check us out anytime. And until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks again, Katey.
Thanks. Bye.